YouTube. Today is the January 6th, 2017, and I've been debating with myself. I try to explain myself how a brain mechanism, brain program of average leftist in Western Europe is working, and who might be these people, who are they, like, from inside. One lecture, and I'll put that link down, pointed me to something which was in front of my big nose for a very long time, and I just couldn't notice it. She pointed to the clear connection between narcissism and left, and I could not connect that because I know that narcissism comes in a small percentage. Now it's a question how big is that percentage? 1%, and maybe more, are like pure narcissists. Excuse me. So, but she had such a big point, because when I was debating with them, they've been exhibiting same narcissistic traits, the European left. And let's point like this: narcissist, he believes that he's superior to everybody else. European left, they are absolutely convinced that they are morally superior to everybody else, and that they can teach us how we need to raise our children through their pedophilic social services, how we need to think, how we need to behave, how we need whatever, be dressed. They know it all. It's the super powerful state which is about to tell us. Okay, moral superiority. How they react when you're debating with them? Oh my God, they have like basic two cards. They have the R card, and then they have the hard card. R card, in my inner vocabulary, is the racist card. If you try to debate with them, now in Europe they push the R card, and back in Yugoslavia that was the N card, nacionalista card. Very important, because first they go after that card, and then after that, my friend, you end up without career, and then after some time, even possible homeless and that. So when they've been pulling these cards in my childhood, N card, this was the card which was getting you to the poverty. So that's why people have been scared. It's a very simple mechanism. If you don't play with the system, you're out economically, and they control the system. Okay, it's the reptilian thing, the left. But let's go now to the users of the left movement. So they are very aggressive. Another thing which struck me, like the resemblance with a narcissist mind, is a left and narcissist. They have a good public image. They have very nice facade. Every time I think about left and liberals, I have in my mind beautiful blue designs, and people in nice suits, and nice smiles, and logos, and all the beautiful, we are all equal, we are all special, and democracy is around the corner, same as the paradise. But somehow we're gonna deliver you the capitalist paradise. And yeah, they have beautiful image. Every time I think of them, I have this, like, my programmed image, same as you have, like slick and in blue tones, and everybody young and everybody progressive and promising great thing, and like confident and so on. So they're really resembling these traits of narcissists, like excellent facade. However, the reasoning with them is just a pure smear, and then in the same time feeling of utter superiority. However, their performance is, as we know it, their performance is insane. And this is another trait of the narcissists and psychopaths, that they are actually shittier managers than average people, because they don't really use their frontal cortexes where compassion should be. So another card they play when I was debating with them is the heart card. I call it heart card because how come you don't love these little tiny refugees which are frozen in front of gates of European community? They're frozen little Syrian babies, and their mamas and papas, doctors there, the Nobel Prize winners, people, doctors. They're freezing, and you're not letting them in. Now you don't have heart. Are you afraid of God? So they play on using the emotions, which of course they immediately gonna use. Oh, you are such a cruel, cold person. You should be persecuted. And this is the hypocrisy thing, because they clearly don't put in calculation interest of the raped European people. Another thing which is very similar to the narcissists. Narcissists are excellent in conceiving the information. They are excellent in controlling people, moving people against each other, and hiding the information. And nobody is more efficient in that than European left. And the European mentality works absolutely perfectly with them on their banner. Okay, I'll explain. I was excited. Um, Europeans are two things. They live in small isolated bubbles. If they have family, it's like three people family. If they don't have a family, then it's like a white guy and a dog, you know. So if they're like those people who wanna be willingly blind, and that's the majority, then they're gonna depend only on the BBC World and CNN and Fox News, and there they're gonna learn nothing. So it's very common in Sweden even today that majority of people simply is not aware of the rape epidemics in Sweden because they themselves were not targeted. The small circle was not targeted, and he didn't hear anything from the mainstream media anyway. Okay, they even put Swedish men when a guy from Somalia is raping. They put Swedish men. A guy came like 3 months ago in Sweden somehow, and he started to rape actively, and it's Swedish men again. What, colorblind? What, or simply logic blind? So, or simply narcissists who are hiding information. You see, they when narcissist doesn't narcissist never gonna admit mistake. He's gonna bury it immediately. He's gonna lie, and in his brain, because brain of narcissist has certain reality which is not matching with the reality of normal people. Okay, but don't worry, they are the ruling class. So their reality will be imposed on us this way or that way by lying or withdrawing information or simply shouting truth in your face or threatening you of being R, that means fired. Racist means fired. That's it. These are the new Hunger Games. And no wonder that Winston Churchill said that in the future, left gonna be new right, they're gonna be new fascists, and they are. And so, okay, that makes sense. Another thing also made sense, that in Sweden now leftists are turning to Islam. They are accepting Islam, and I was thinking, okay, sure, makes sense spiritually. The both sides are guided by the Lucifer metaphysically, this way or that way, works through the human mind easily. But wait a minute, aren't the Islamists as well for the total state control? Isn't a perfect Islamic state the one which gives its followers absolutely everything? Food, medicine, and we know in communism what meant when the state is giving you food, like in China or in Cambodia. They simply decide not to give food to certain people, and then you die. You literally beg by the food line. They're not giving you anything. You're simply cut off. So they are both for that. They are both for total control. Oh wow, Islam and narcissism. Oh my God, exactly. It's their God, and they have absolutely God-given right to murder people like me, to kidnap little children, girls, rape them, murder them, even consume human parts, because non-Muslims are absolutely nothing worse than cattle. If this is not narcissistic way of thinking, then what is it? So you have whole movement, whole religious movement, which is in the essence narcissist. And then are they violent? Because narcissism always goes with the violence. Are they violent? Shh, 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 shh. Are they violent? They're even more violent than leftists, man. You know what I mean? And nobody killed more people than communism. Nobody. In modern history. Mao Zedong, 40 million people, Stalin and Lenin together, about 30 million people. Josip Broz Tito in my country, several 100,000, not a big, but it's not a big country. So they are like killing for them. It's a trivial, it's a small thing, as Muhammad said. So they have that. Oh, image. When you look at the image, like really Islamic image, beautiful. You have those long men wear those long dresses, which are very very comfortable. And by the way, I bought some in Egypt, but I couldn't really wear them in Rijeka because people been pointing. But I like them from that simply thermical thing. It's really good for a guy, to have a dress and more space between legs, so on. So that visibly all looks very nice. I even like the heads. I like the architecture of mosques. It's all very beautiful. And constant mantra Israel, 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 Islam, same thing in a way. Islam is the religion of peace, religion of peace, religion of peace. So that that facade is working very well. And sure, they're joining forces. They're working hand in hand in Europe, Islamists and leftists. Excellent. Don't take me wrong. Nationalism can also be a form of narcissism as well. Using same elements. We are the best. We can walk we can walk over the other nations, and we can be brutal, of course, and we can be whatever. Narcissism can work in so many fields. It can work absolutely in any field. So that all explains where I simply, yeah, decided when I stumble upon leftist or Islamist, I simply, not gonna communicate with that person at all, because what's the point of communication? Leftists, to this point, they can't see white genocide. They're not gonna see white genocide till the last moment. Then they're gonna decide they're Muslims anyway. This is, I know, I know dirty blood, how dirty blood looks like. I'm from Croatia, Balkans, and we have in Bosnia, we have those families who accepted Islam many generations ago, and they are dirty blood. They are people who are very sneaky. They are people who are very twisted, and you cannot trust them, and so on and so on and so on. So this kind of elements, DNA elements, are the first who are falling into the shit pit, so to speak. So now it's happening with Swedes. So now they're seeing, around them, who are the most rotten Swedes, who are the first ones who gonna sell out their country. Same goes in Germany and many other countries where they're siding with the aggressors. And yeah, it is of course a form of a fifth column form of inner sabotage. So in my mind, those saboteurs, so inner traitors, should be treated with a harsher punishments than the terrorists themselves, because they're more responsible. Without them, we wouldn't be having terrorists in Europe anyway. They simply wouldn't be there. They need to be pulled, taken constantly, protected constantly. So, um, yeah, if you see me in Rijeka, if I ever come back home and you have dreadlocks and you're Antifa and you are pro-refugees and you like rapists, just walk around me. Don't notice me. If we knew each other from before, from that rock and roll scene, just don't bother. That was before. Now is now. We are now in two different ideological trenches, and in the future we're gonna be, unfortunately, in two different military trenches. That's how it always goes. I know that I chose a right side because I simply could not neglect the fact that you know 1,400 girls was like over 12 years repeatedly raped in Rotherham. That police force was protecting rapists even to the degree of just sick things. To the degree that in one case they even charged one father for assault, and he simply tried to protect his daughter from being raped by four Pakis. They went away. They got away. He didn't. In another example, police entered the house where they've been raping a white girl, and when they started to threaten them, they're gonna pull racist charges against them. They retreated from the house, and girl remained there to be raped. So you're dealing with incredible insanity, with suicidal insanity, which is not there by the accident. It's been designed as a white genocide by the reptiles who are running the Illuminati show, and it's been predicted a long time ago by the Albert Pike how Islam gonna take over the Europe. Jews are very active inside, but these are simply Illuminati, but they're working through the Jewish cover very well in this destruction of Europe. And now, baby, you either gonna raise your voice or you're just gonna perish. You can keep your little privileges for a number of years, but at the end, you're just gonna end up as people in Yugoslavia end up. People been pretending that there is no problem, there is no problem, there is no problem, and suddenly they simply could not pretend anymore. My uncle, from Bosnia. Uh, I love him the most from that family there, but I had to cut contact with him as well. Um, he opened a cafe bar in 1991 in Bosnia, and he called it Mir, which means peace. It was a couple of months after war already started in Croatia, and when he named it, it was one of those hundreds, maybe even thousands, peace agreements between Croats and Serbs, which was of course broken after a couple of days. But he believed in that one, and he called it Mir, peace. And not even a year after that, war broke out in Bosnia, and it was already going on in Croatia, which was really felt quite a bit because Croatia is like all around the Bosnia. So if you have a war all around your country, you kind of notice it. Especially at that time, 20% of Bosnians were Croats, 30% Serbs. Kind of felt inside. So I like him, but this is the way how little people think. They simply choose not to see reality as long as it's possible because it's convenient. Peace, mir.